waiting for? Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. I recently done my non-spoiler review for I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I also done my spoiler-filled review. And there was so much more I really wanted to elaborate on, and I think the video would have lasted too long, so I've decided to do a separate video on I Know What You Did Last Summer, and that is all the problems that we had with this movie was mostly due to the writing for the film. The acting was fine. I think the look and the aesthetic to the movie was absolutely fine as well. And the characters, most of the characters were fine. There was just some decisions that were made, especially by the killer or killers in the movie, and it didn't make sense to the point where, is it a plot hole or is it something that could potentially set up a future movie? We'll start off with the four friends: Hannah Decker, Stevie Ward, Sam Cooper, and Pastor Judah Gillespie. Now, Judah Gillespie's name is a nod to the original director, Jim Gillespie, the director from the first movie from 1997. He's from Glasgow, just like me. Those four were in a photograph together, so at one point, all four of them were friends. Upon reflection of watching the movie, the first thing that came to mind was, why didn't Judah or Pastor Judah speak to Stevie at any point throughout the movie? Of course, we weren't supposed to know that both of them knew each other at this point, but they could have had an interaction in the town hall, but they didn't have that interaction like they knew each other or were even friends at one point. He also personally has no reason to be suspicious. The only reason I can assume that they didn't interact with each other was so that we didn't know the extent of how they knew each other. The next point that didn't make sense was, why did Hannah tell Stevie to go and party with her old friends when Hannah was literally her current friend at that time? Now, Stevie and Hannah were taking stuff out of the boot of the car or putting things in the boot of the car, as in the trunk of the car, and she was doing it for Ray because she was working for Ray, but Hannah wasn't working for Ray. So why did Hannah tell Stevie to go off and have fun with her old friends while Hannah picks up the slack for Stevie's job? Again, Hannah doesn't work at Ray's bar unless Hannah knows Ray personally and could potentially be that third killer. The next issue I had was with Ray shooting Stevie on the boat. Why did Ray shoot Stevie instead of shooting Ava? That made absolutely no sense. Yes, of course, he didn't mortally wound her. He only meant to wound her so that she would fall over the boat and survive. That's fair enough, but at the same time, the person that you wanted to kill was standing right next to you. In fact, that was the last person that you thought you had to kill. Of course, they thought Danica died when they threw her overboard. The last person there was Ava. There was two of them there, Stevie and Ray. Ava was right next to them. Why did they have to make it look as if he was the hero and save Ava instead of just killing Ava there and then? Something that intrigued me though was, before he shot Stevie, she shouted out, "There needs to be a," and then he shot her. It's almost like she tried to say something and he didn't want her to say that in front of Ava, so there's something that he was hiding. But again, if they both just shot Ava, it wouldn't really matter what Stevie said. Near the end of the movie, Ava did say to Ray, "You killed your partner," and he said, "Did I?" So it's obvious that his intention was not to kill Stevie at that point. So whether she had something to say that was important or not, he knew that he was shooting her, knowing that he wasn't trying to kill her. The note that was sent to Julie at the end said, "It's not over," and there was a picture of Carla with her face crossed out. So whoever it is after Julie is also after Carla, which means whoever it is knows about the events of the Bahamas back in 1998. But who could that be? The obvious candidate would be Stevie, because Stevie's still alive and it is confirmed that she's still alive. But if it's not Stevie, then could it be that third killer? Could it be Hannah that I'm suspecting could be the third killer? And if it is, what would be her reasons be behind wanting to kill Carla? Is Hannah related to Ben Willis? Is it Ben Willis's daughter? There's obviously something going on with Hannah because she was there throughout the movie and she was a suspect, really, throughout the entire movie. One of the issues that I had was Judah was acting all suspect throughout most of his scenes, and there was a scene where it looks like he says to Ava that he can't really remember the dates of when Sam died, which maybe that's the case. And if it is the case, the book that Danica found when she was rummaging through his stuff might not have been his book. That might have been Hannah's book. Hannah works at the church with Judah, and the way Judah looked at the book when he saw it, it's almost like he looked at it as if to say, whose is this? This is not my book. It could have been his book, but if it wasn't his book, then it's possibly Hannah's book, which means Hannah's the one or the third one in this group of killers. When it comes to Stevie and Ray's motives, I think there were some of the weakest motives that I've ever seen in a whodunit slasher movie. Stevie's motive was hypocritical due to the fact that she was actually there during the accident. Yes, she tried to make up excuses like saying, I thought we were going to the police, but at the same time, after they didn't go to the police, she agreed to keep quiet, and then she kept quiet. Instead of going to the police anyway, she kept quiet. So she's a hypocrite for saying that they're all in the wrong, when in actual fact, she's in the wrong as well. I think her awful ramblings and the reveal was too much exposition masquerading as character depth and some sort of deep motivation. Now guys, this is the part where we need to pay close attention because this is where the terrible writing comes into it. Stevie and Ray have a one-to-one conversation. Nobody else is in the room, it's just Stevie and Ray, and it's halfway through the movie. This confirms in this scene that Stevie didn't know about Ray's past, and Ray didn't know about the incident that took place a year prior with Stevie and her mates. But at this point in the movie, there was already chase scenes, and we already established that the chase scene involving Ava and her friend, the podcaster, it wasn't Stevie that was chasing them because Stevie was trying to get into the building at the time of the chase. And it also looks like the killer or the person chasing them was Ray because of the wound that he had at the end of the movie. But if Ray at this point in the movie is just finding out about Stevie, we have to assume at this point is when Ray decided to help Stevie kill her friends. And if that was the case, then it wouldn't have been Ray at the beginning of the movie chasing anyone. But if it was Ray, then how is he just finding out about Stevie's past after he's already helped Stevie in the first place? That's terrible writing. Unless Ray was only ever after the podcaster, which again wouldn't make sense because one of Ray's motives for helping Stevie kill people was people were trying to bury the past, trying to bury what happened in 1997. And it seemed like the only person that was trying to make light of what happened in 1997 was the podcaster. So it would make absolutely no sense for Ray to want to kill that person. If anything, he would want to save that person because what they're doing is what he was trying to do. Raise awareness of what happened in 1997. Again, terrible writing. Ray's motives were the most bizarre because on one hand, he's helping Stevie because he told Stevie's father that he would protect Stevie. I don't think it should have came to that point. Who is Stevie's father? We don't know. Are we ever going to find out? It's possible if they do make a sequel to this movie. So maybe Stevie's father will be a key in future films. But again, that might not matter anymore because Ray is now dead. That part of his motive was terrible, but the other part was also equally as bad. The other part was he was dealing with trauma. Julie was dealing with trauma as well, but she dealt with it more like an adult and a more realistic person, whereas Ray decided my trauma is enough. What happened to Stevie set me over the edge, and I've decided that I'm just going to start killing people and making people remember again. But again, it goes back to that podcaster, and if you're trying to make people remember, like the podcaster is trying to make people remember, why kill her? Julie also said near the middle of the movie that she was also frustrated with how they handled things back in 1997, trying to brush it under the carpet. So it seems like she kind of didn't move on mentally either in that aspect. And then hypocritically, she says to Ray, who cares? You have to let it go. Well, if you have to let it go, why didn't you let it go? So that was quite hypocritical. But again, that's not Julie's fault. I think that's just a case of bad writing again. I feel like they did Ray dirty. They had a chance, if they go with what they've done at the end of this movie with Carla coming back, Carla and Julie trying to figure out who this person is. They've done Ray dirty. They could have had Carla, Julie, and Ray in a legacy sequel that only had those legacy characters, kind of going on with what's about to happen with Scream 7. We've got Kevin Williamson coming back. He's directing Scream 7, and it's going to be mostly legacy characters that's involved in the movie as the main characters. They could have done that, but instead they done a Dewey and they killed off Ray. At the end of the movie, Ava said all of this could have been avoided if men just went to therapy. I feel like that's a dig at men, of course. I don't know why they want to have a dig at men, but they did. But this is on the back of a movie that had 50% of the killers being female. And not only that, Stevie being that killer, she was having mental problems. So not only is that another hypocritical comment, it's just terrible writing. That whole ending dialogue was horrendous. I was actually cringing in my seat when they were talking to each other. You have Ava and Danica sitting at the beach. They're saying, oh, I'm so hungry. I didn't eat over the past couple of days or whatever. Well, that's because your friends were being chased and killed. And not only that, they were having a laugh at the end of the movie. Yes, I know that some people can do that in horror movies because it's just a horror movie, but in 2025, that doesn't really happen anymore. So the fact that these two are saying they're starving and men are horrible and let's laugh and joke, their friends have just been killed. Again, terrible writing. The funny thing is, all of these plot holes and bad writing that I'm picking out here, they have the potential, if a new competent writer comes in, they have the potential to turn these into interesting plot points instead of plot holes. I feel like the best way to move forward is, like I said, do that Scream 7 route, make it a full-on legacy-focused sequel with Carla and Julie. Unfortunately, we can't have Ray, but have Carla and Julie, and I don't know who else can come back, but make it something to do with Ben Willis or his family. I think that's the best way to go. They probably won't go that route, but I feel like that's the only way that they can maybe redeem themselves, because what happened in this one is unforgivable. So I've ranted on way too long, guys, but what are your opinions on this? Did you notice a lot of the major plot holes in this movie with regards to when Stevie told Ray, when Ray told Stevie, how Ray turned up before he even knew he was supposed to turn up? All of those things annoyed the hell out of me. But leave your comments and opinions down below, guys. Did you notice anything else that I didn't mention in this video? As always, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back! See!